So we got defects of character, shortcomings, natures of our wrongs. It's all the same thing. We got some flaws in us. And sometimes it hurts when people point out our flaws. I told you last week, if I see a booger, I'm going to let you know. Because that's why I think you guys are here. If I see you running on those defects instead of moving over to the other side, to the asset side of this column, somebody should point them out to you. Not out of meanness. Not because we're trying to belittle anybody or to make you feel bad. Because I thought you wanted to know. I thought that's why you're here. Now, you all took this list and you wrote down the defects of character, didn't you? And you put a number to them from 1 to 10. And what I'm going to ask you to do between now and next week is take those numbers that you wrote down, and I want you to identify, maybe we did this last week, did we identify the top 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Okay, the 3 or 4 things that you struggle with the most, I want you to circle those numbers or a star next to it or something. I want you to identify those defects of character. Who has one that's completed? Let me see yours. Point out the 3 that you struggle with. Fear. 3 words. Fear.
Fear, guilt.
Guilt.
Immoral thinking.
Immoral thinking. Fear, guilt, immoral thinking. Notice I didn't ask any specifics about fear, guilt, or immoral thinking, did I?
No.
Don't let anybody in AA tell you that, oh, you're only as well as your deepest secrets. It's nonsense. They're voyeuristic. It's none of their business. If you rape one girl, you're a rapist. You don't have to name 5 women and get all detailed in the events, right? If you stole from 10 people, you're a thief. Who cares whether one's name's Fred and the other one's George and Sally and Sam? Who cares? You're a thief. What's the nature of your wrong then? You're greedy. And yours were again what? Fear? And guilt and immoral thinking. What are you afraid of?
Fail.
Fear of failure? That's a healthy fear. You have to be afraid of it. Every time that I walked out to the door, it didn't matter whether I turned left or I turned right, I self-destructed. I was petrified. When they told me to sit down and shut up in an AA meeting, okay, the fear was gone. Ooh, somebody making a decision for me. The fear started going away because I started taking some direction. As we learn to take direction and step out in faith that another man can lead us where we have been unable to lead ourselves into the opposite of fear is what? Courage, into a place of courage. As we do those things, we gain the skills and the ability to face our fears and to not self-destruct. Every time I got fearful, guess what? Right? I know how to ground the fears. Back me in a corner, I don't get fearful, I blow up. That's caused me a lot of problem in my life. That's why I said beforehand, I ain't afraid of nothing. I have never feared anything or anybody, and I paid the price for it. One time, 5 years ago, somebody came running, John came running, or somebody came running in my office and said, I can't remember the kid's name. He grabbed a butcher knife out of the kitchen, and he's out back and he's trying to kill himself. Huh? And John walked out there and he said, "Let's do a better job than that, because I ain't calling 911. And I rounded the corner at a run, chased him around back, and the kid's standing there like this. He's got this big old butcher knife. And before I knew it, I'm up this close to him. And I thought, holy shit, he's close enough to stick me. But it was too late. Now, you suppose I should have backed off and used a little fear? Yeah. Now, it worked out all right. He dropped the knife, but it was only, he was in control. I had no control. I was gone. That's my defect as well as yours. The other one, immoral thinking, you're doing that. You're a guy. All right? But guess what? It gets better. Because we learn. I have learned to respect women today where I didn't before. I've learned that these gals over here to the one-on-one club that he's so he's so hell-bent on telling that next to just so, I just need a female friend. Guess what? When you get to know some of those young gals over there, they have been taken advantage of, molested, and raped. They've sold their bodies 7 ways to 1. They've earned their seat over there too. Leave them the hell alone. They deserve to have better than you and me and the rest of these guys in here. Because if I see you over there, you're a predator if you do. Leave the women alone. They got nothing to offer you, and you sure as hell don't even have a bed to offer. And the best you can hope for is she's going to give you a little bit if you pay her phone bill. And if you pay her phone bill and you come in here and tell me you ain't got your rent, you're going to be sleeping somewhere other than here. And she's going to have a phone bill, putting the thumb on the next guy over there. Can you help me with my rent? I mean, you think you're the first and the best looking and the slickest and the kindest, and then you got the greatest ear. You're deceiving yourself. Let me put the mirror up there, big shot. You ain't got it all on, okay?
Easy.
All right, I'm not picking on him specifically as much as I am reminding all of us that these are vulnerable things in our life. And we don't give ourselves half a chance. We don't give them a chance. If you don't care about your own self, go on back in the hood and get you some skank over there, okay? But leave these gals over here to the one-on-one alone. They're trying, many of them, for the very first time in their life. And the last thing they need is for some other jerk to come along and make one more promise and disappoint them and abuse them, take advantage of them one more time. So knock it off. I see you over there at the clubhouse. That's one thing I come unglued. I have 3 daughters, and thank God none of them ever got hooked on drugs or alcohol. 15 grandkids, and I only got 4 grandsons, so I got 11 granddaughters. Yeah, I know. So I'm a little concerned about knuckleheads like you guys. I fixed my oldest daughter when her first boyfriend showed up. He pulled up out in the front. I said, "Go get his ass and bring him in." So brought him in. He came in the store and he got his head on sideways, hands down. He's in a lowrider. He come walking in the door, and I said, "I want to take something. See that little girl?" And he had enough sense to realize that I was pissed. He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "That's my daughter. I'm going to tell you something for sure. I do not mind going back to the penitentiary if I find out you touched her." That's it. She ended up a year or so later marrying him. And a year later, he ended up dying in a car wreck on his way to his first AA meeting to see me, to hear me speak. Wow. We buried him. A year later, she found another man that gave her my 2 grandsons by that girl. And she named the first one after me. She could have had, she asked me to give her away in marriage. She could have asked her brother or grandpa or anybody. This is the girl who held a butcher knife to my gut 3 years previous to that. Said, "If you touch my mom again, you son of a bitch, I'll kill you." And here it is 2 or 3 years later. She's asking me 2 years later, asked me to give her away in marriage. And 3 years later, and in 4 years, she's given birth to my oldest grandson, then naming him after me. Now, don't tell me that God doesn't have a purpose and a plan in our lives to restore this thing. This program works. I bet my life on it, guys. This thing works. This is not play games. My drinking affected every freaking body around me. A little town of 40,000 people, and I could not buy a minimum wage job. That's the impact of my drinking had on my community, let alone my family and my kids. And you guys have had an impact in a negative way on your family, in your neighborhoods, your employees and employers. But you know, you can turn it around. God can turn it around for you if you'll submit to this program. made a list, and this is how it starts. And this is going to be easy tonight. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. What's the first thing? What's the first rule of order here? What do we do?
Make a list.
Make a list. So what do you think your homework assignment is?
Make a list.
Make a list.
Make a list.
Oh, jeez! I screwed over 582 people. Write 582 names. I'll never be able to make amends to 582 people. He doesn't say make amends yet. This has become willing to make amends. You have no clue how many of those people that you harmed are going to be gone or dead or not be around. Or I had one kid one time that I was sponsoring. He said, me and my cousin, when we were teenagers, I took advantage of her and I molested her. He was 15, 16, and she was 14 or 15, same age, cousin. They weren't from Kentucky, but they should have been. West Virginia. Okay.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Come on now.
New York. And Kevin said, going through his inventory, he shared that he suffered from lust, and all of his life he'd suffered from lust. And he shared this one incident with me. He said, now, how am I going to make amends to her? She's married, she's got kids. I said, you're not going to. It doesn't say make amends to the person that you harmed. It's to become willing to make amends to her. Kevin, you pray about how it is that you might open your mouth and ask her to forgive you if the opportunity presents itself. And the chances are, if she's married and got a kid, she don't want to talk to you. She don't want to be embarrassed. She goes to a family reunion, she's probably going to either avoid you. She don't want nothing to do with you. She does not want her family to know that you guys hooked up. But you need to be willing. So you prepare. You put her name down, and you prepare in your heart what you're going to say to her if the opportunity rises. And we're going to pray about it. And it wasn't a week. It wasn't a week. And he come running over to my house and he said, Don, you don't believe it. He said, my cousin called me. And he named her by name. I said, really? By this time I've been sober long enough, I ain't surprised at nothing. I said, really? What'd she say? He said, she told me she was in a 12-step program and she was doing an 8-step and a 9-step, and my name come up on her list, and she apologized for enticing me to have sex with her when we were kids. I said, you gotta be kidding me. He didn't have to ask her for forgiveness. He became willing, and God opened the doors, prepared her heart, so the two of them get together on common ground. Isn't that something? You think the God that we serve doesn't care and doesn't know? There's nothing you've ever thought of or said or did that He's not aware of. And it's time to quit hiding in shame. You said you feel guilty. Is that one of your defects? Scripture says we don't live in guilt anymore. Well, how do we overcome that? By becoming willing to face our past. Not facing it necessarily, becoming willing to face it. One more quick story about a list and being ready. This is one I didn't even know anything about. I couldn't put this lady's name on the list. How many of you ever had blackouts? Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, from 1983 to 1986, I blacked out. I functioned and operated in a blackout. I drank daily, all day, all night. I functioned as an alcoholic. Now, I couldn't tell you what I did. If somebody would come in after I first got sober, people come in AA and say, I know you. My first question was, how much do I owe you? Because I know my pattern. Anyway, I'm 83 to 88. Times are tough. 86, excuse me. Times are tough, and I'm doing all kinds of things, and they ain't right. And so I'm probably 96, 97. I'm sober by 8, 9 years. I'm the associate pastor of a rather large church, 12, 14, 1,600 people, depending upon the time of day, time of year it was. I was a Christian education director there, in charge of all the programs. from kindergarten all the way to the old blue hairs. I wrote all the curriculum, did all the teaching, the instructors. This lady comes up to me in Home Depot, and she goes, I know you. And I instantly got puffed up. Yeah, maybe you've seen some of our commercials. I'm the pastor out there at Community Christian Church. No, I know you. You son of a bitch, you screwed me out of some money. I said, when did I screw you out of some money, lady? She said, you don't know me? I said, I'm sorry, I don't know you. And she laid out her name, and I said, what did I do? She said, you stepped me 3 or 4 months rent. You kept had these sob stories and this. Well, that fit my pattern, you know. I said, how much was it? I'll pay you back. I don't have it right now, but I'll make sure that. Yeah, I've heard that crap before. I said, look, lady, here's my card. Call me. I don't have it, but I will make arrangements to somehow pay this thing out. She was a non-believer until the last payment was made. And she still didn't like me. And I don't blame her very much. But I became willing at that point, even though I hadn't written her name down anywhere, I became willing at that point to stand up and not deny and not shuck and jive and not come up with some excuse, but say, you got me. What do I owe you and how do I make it right? Became willing to make amends right then and there. This thing doesn't happen overnight. Just because you go through the 12 steps in one day doesn't mean magically everything's going to be wonderful. But you're going to be equipped to be able to deal with these things. God knows when you're going to be able to make amends to Sally Sue, your cousin, or that some woman that you screwed out of some rent, or somebody here, somebody there. Well, let me tell you something. Of those 582 names, first thing you can do is you can wipe out all bartenders. They already got paid for putting up with your crap. You don't have to go make amends for that. You can wipe out all your dealers. You ain't going back and make amends for some guy selling you poison, okay? Now, how far down we got the list? We're down there, a couple of hundred, aren't we? Truth be known, there's probably less than 40 or 50 people in your circle that you're honestly going to have to write down and seriously consider making amends. Why would we consider making amends? Because if we don't get right, we're going to be looking like this all our life, aren't you? One of my first amends was to go to a guy that he was a bar owner. And Rocky had loaned me some money for bail, and I stepped it. Now, that little town of 40,000 had probably 80 bars in it, so it was really easy to dodge it. I dodged him for years. And it wasn't much, 500, I think. And I made a decision that when I got my first job and I got my first $500 that I was able to turn loose of, that I would go see Rocky, because he's the one, when I wrote this list, that kept jumping to the top of the list. Every time I'd pray and I'd say, Lord, show me who it is I'm supposed to make amends to. Rocky's name came on. I said, holy crap, there's all kinds of people that you would think would be more important than Rocky Jones. You know, how about them girls, and how about this and that and what have you? And the Lord kept telling me, no, go see Rocky. So I got $500 and I went. I had about 6 or 7. And I went to see Rocky, and I laid it on his desk. I said, Rocky, there's that money I owe you for bail. I said, I'm in a 12-step program that tells me that I need to be willing to make amends. And I'm here and I'm asking you for forgiveness. Rocky's told me 3 words. Go F yourself. I said, wow, you know, I come in here hat in hand with money up. He said, it don't matter. You were a prick then and you're probably still a prick. Thank you for the money. I said, do I owe you any interest? And he said, nope. I didn't expect this. I said, fine. I turned around and I walked out of his office, and I'll tell you, I was floating on air. Because I knew that I was set free. It didn't matter how he responded to me. I stepped up to the plate for the first time in a long time, and I faced my past. The worst of the worst was over. I faced my past, and I walked out of there just free. I knew that I would never again have to look over my shoulder to see if Rocky Jones was following me. Man, you talk about being set free. That motivated me, and that was the first one. I think I was probably a year sober before I was able to do that. Well, I'd made the smaller ones with the, the kids and the wife and this and that, what have you, but not in any depth. That was the first real substantive amends that I had been able to put together and make. And I'll tell you, it set me on a path where I was beating down doors asking people for forgiveness. Because the worst was behind me, man. Now, I don't know if that's how it's going to work for you, but if you'll take it to prayer, this list, make a list and become willing. The willingness I'm going to ask you to put through is make that list, and then again, like you did on the defects, I want you to label it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pray. Every day pray over that list and ask God, God, show me which one you want me to make amends to first. You can't make amends to dead people, not face to face. There's a methodology we can use to help you if you're struggling with some of that. But we're talking about real people that you could go face to face with. Now, you can't go face to face with somebody if they're living out in San Francisco, can you? But in your circle of, ask God to show you. Okay, Lord, what is it you want? Who do you want me to make amends to? Okay? And then become willing. Step 9. Made direct amends. What's that mean? Direct amends.
Face to face.
Face to face. Sometimes it might be over the phone. Oftentimes it can be over the phone. But it's better if you can go face to face with somebody, because then you get a feel for how they're going to respond, how they're responding, and you need to be willing to let them take it to the next level. So if you go to an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend, you go to an ex-wife and you say, I'm sorry I cheated on you. I was wrong. I hope you can forgive me. I'm in this 12-step program that says I need to take responsibility for my part to clean up my side of the street. I'm not here to talk about you or our relationship. I'm here talking about me. I was a selfish, self-centered jerk. I'm not going to use alcohol as an excuse. I did what I did. I cheated on you. I hope you can forgive me. At that point, and the readings in the Big Book tell us, we need to be willing to take any questions and all questions. Whew. That's the tough part. That's why you can't rush into this, because if your ex-wife that you admit this to says, well, now just who did you go around with? It ain't fair to tell her that it was her sister. Might be the truth, but it ain't fair. You don't have a right to hurt her. It would harm her to do that. So you need to be tough enough to stand up there and say, look, I'm willing to take whatever, but I'm tired of bringing hurt into your life. And I'm not going to reveal to you who it was. It's not that important. I'm here to let you know that I recognize that my behavior affected you in a negative way. And for that harmful effect to you, I would hope you could forgive me for it. I'm not going to confess all of my nonsense to you. It just wouldn't serve any purpose. The Big Book talks about going hand in hand to your boss and saying, I stole from you. You don't go to your boss and say, hey, I stole from you, unless you're prepared to have the money to pay him back. Otherwise, he might have your butt locked up. And then what good would that do your wife or your kids? Or okay? This is not an easy out. Writing this list and being ready to make amends is not an easy out. This is tough. But it's not rocket science, okay? It takes a lot of direction and a lot of prayer and a lot of counsel. That's why before you get to this 9th step, I hope that you guys all have a sponsor or confidant or pastor or counselor or somebody to guide you in this process, so that you don't go running to your cousin who doesn't want to see you or talk to you, doesn't want her husband to know that she did her cousin when they were young. What are you laughing at?
It's just, I don't know, it's just a weird scenario. I don't know.
This really happened, and it happened in real life. It just didn't happen in my head like happening in your head.
I don't know what's going on.
If you're struggling with being a pervy, you ain't no more. You ain't got no more immoral thinking than the rest of the world, men or women. Okay, but you don't have to act on it anymore because that thought is just there, and I can prove it. I can prove that our thoughts don't have to dictate our lives. Okay? You think you have to give in to your thoughts and your impulses? I'm going to prove you don't. Go ahead. You know you want to. Isn't that what you said? You said you wanted to, right? Who said that? I did. What I told him was get up and punch him in the head. Okay? That's a thought that came from outside of him. And he had enough common sense, he didn't act on it. So the thoughts that you have, the immoral thinking, they're not your thoughts. They're from an enemy that wants to destroy you. He wants you to act on those, and you have now a power greater than yourself to restore you to sanity, so you don't have to act on your fleshly impulses. Doesn't mean you won't. You might have lustful thinking regularly for a while. But as you submit yourself to the Lord and to His Spirit, He's going to give you the awareness and the strength and everything you need to have everything about you changed. I should have used that on you.
Probably would have did it.
Huh?
Probably would have did it.
He probably would have done it.
He loves you.
Make direct commands to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would harm them or others.